Welcome back, everybody, to the Overland Hack series. This is episode 4. We're going to be talking about off-road lighting. Now, to me, there's really two different kinds of lighting. There's off-road lighting, and then there's camp lighting. We're obviously in this episode going to be talking about more specifically off-road lighting. Now, when it comes to off-road lighting, it really depends on your vehicle and the type of setup you're going with. Now, we're talking primarily on this page overland type vehicles. So we're typically not going to be in the advanced class where we're, like a pre-runner, we're driving 110 miles an hour across the desert and going over whoops and stuff like that. Unless it's super flat and you're driving across a dry lake bed, then maybe. We're looking more in like maybe the 30 to 60 mile an hour range. So we really don't need something that's super crazy lighting like that. And that's where Bajadesigns, I use them. They actually have a graph that's perfect for trying to figure out what your range is and what you're trying to achieve. And that graph is this. So if you look here, they really break it down depending on your speed. And that really does have a lot to do with your lighting. The faster you're going, the further out you want to see. As I stated previously, we're overlanders. Typically, we're not going that fast. So when it comes back to our lighting, it also more so really depends on us of having the lighting in the correct places and having the right lighting that we specifically want. Which brings me to overland hack number 1, and that is buy quality lights. Now, quality lights. Like I stated previously, prefer Bajadesigns, and this is why. Okay. So here, this is a brand new S1 pod light. And I'm going to take it apart. And check this out. So look right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this screw out right here. Pull this guy off right here. And look at that. I can pull the lens out on this light. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, why is that such a big deal? Because you can change the lenses. Now, let's say you go out and buy from another brand and you don't want, like, you use a light for a while, figure out that's not the light that you don't want because it's not putting out the pattern you don't like. Most other companies, you have to go out and buy a completely different light for that purpose that you're trying to achieve. Not with these lights. So here I have a wide cornering lens. So like, let's say I wanted more of a spot style light, I can simply just swap out the lens, put it back together, and it's good to go. It's now a spotlight. If I want, let's say I want to run amber instead of clear, I can just simply buy the lens, drop that amber lens in here, and there you go. I have my lights are ready to go for amber. So this is why I really do enjoy Bajadesigns. It is very user friendly. I don't have to go out and buy a whole nother set of lights just to replace this light because I'm looking for a different setup for my lighting. And here's another awesome thing. These plugs right here, these are very common plugs. They're very easy to find at most automotive electrical stores. They're not a specific type of plug that Bajadesigns uses, so you have to go buy their own plugs. You can buy these plugs just about anywhere. They're very common. And on top of that, if you get their kit, they come with the plugs right here. Now, I'm a big DIYer, so I usually run my own wiring. So let's say you had some cheap lights and then you just needed to put in some better lights, but you already have the wiring harness there, so you don't need the wiring harness. Not a problem at all. So you simply just cut off those existing lights, and then you can just literally put the plug right on, and there you go. Put on your existing wiring harness, and voila, you can run these lights. So they make it super user friendly. And that's really why I do enjoy using Bajadesigns lights, is because they give you so much more ability to customize them and make them exactly what you want. So that's why it is really important to buy good quality products. But also, if you buy good quality products, buy products that also gives you good quality and also versatility. That's a huge factor. All right, everybody, I apologize for the wind. Of course, it's going to be windy whenever I'm recording. But for our remaining overland hacks, what we're going to actually be doing is talking about lighting locations, which brings me to my second overland hack, which is our 45s. Now, here, if you're looking at our 45s, you can see that we're using our S1 pod lights with a wide cornering clear lens. And you probably also noticed something is that our 45s are mounted up top on our roof rack. This has all been trial by error. Originally, my 45s, when I first had them, were mounted right here. And this wasn't a bad spot, but it did have some disadvantages. One of them was that any branches and stuff like that would come and grab onto the 45. And at one point in time, I actually had one tear off. The other problem is also the way it projects out the lighting. With having a 45 mounted right here, it's really directional. So I could have the 45 mounted and pointed right here, and it would only cast the light out here. Or if I had it here, it would only be right here. And the other problem as well is this panel right here was blocking the light from coming straight down as well right here where I really needed it. So it was an easy fix. So I took the light and then mounted it up higher. Now I have a perfect line of projection all the way straight through. And this allows me to be able to see everything that's going on in this corner, on this side and on that side. Because really, this is actually a lighting line spot. Up top, typically a lot of people, they will mount spotlights up there and then they will just come straight across and out this way. And then if they have any off-road lights up top on their bar or on their rack, they will just be shooting straight out. We have tons of light typically on our vehicles shooting straight out and straight out. And then same thing with our headlights. They're shooting straight out. But this area right here typically misses a lot of light, and I see it all the time. But it is really critical. You want this area to be well lit. That way you know if before you're turning that you're not turning into any rocks, any ditches, any type of obstacles that could damage your vehicle. And it's the same thing for the other side. I utilize my passenger a lot for checking that area, making sure it's all clear before I turn into it. And all that starts with having your lights mounted in good locations. All right, everybody, and we're going to talk about overland hack number 3, and that is backup lights. So here you can see we have our Bajadesigns Squadron Sport flush mounts with a clear wide cornering lens. Now up top you'll notice that it's more of a spot pattern, and then on the bottom it's obviously our wide cornering pattern. These lights work incredible for this particular placement. Now the other thing that you need to really consider as well is the type of bumper that you're putting these type of lights on. So this particular bumper is actually supposed to be for a 2016 F-150. Luckily, I was kind of able to modify it and stuff like that and make it really work well for my 01 F-150. But it does have one drawback, and that is it has a little bit of an angle. Now, the problem with that is now our lighting is going more towards the ground as opposed to being more up. So when you're selecting a bumper, selecting an area that you want to put your backup lights on, you really need to take that in consideration. Make sure you're putting them on a bumper that's going to be flat, so that way you have good projection that's straight out right behind you. Another thing that I've seen a lot of people do is they'll tie their backup lights into their reverse lights. I personally do not recommend this at all, because when you are backing out of your parking spot at Home Depot, you are blinding everybody with your really good off-road lights that were not designed to be backup lights in a parking lot. I personally like to have complete control over my lights at all times, so I put these on manual switches. That way I can control when they want to be on and when they're going to be off. Another option that you can do for off-road light, or I'm sorry, backup lights, is you can mount them up high. This offers a lot of other advantages. Just like our 45s up front, now you can project your lights, your backup lights out a lot further. And if you want to, you could even adjust one to where it comes out at a 45, so that way when you look in your mirror, you can see where areas you're backing up into, which is, again, really critical. Because you got to think, when most of us, we have bed cages, we have rooftop tents, we have a lot going on back here, and not usually not a lot of visibility. So one way to mitigate that is, and you add darkness on top of that. So one way that you can mitigate that is having good solid lighting in great spots, and having your backup lighting in the correct areas, really critical for that. All right, everybody, in Overland Hacks number 4, we are going to talk about our front-facing lights. Now, here on the bumper, you'll notice we have our Bajadesigns SAE Squadrons. They're a wide cornering clear lens. These are actually DOT approved and tied into the fog light harness that came with the truck. So they are completely legal. Now, I'm sorry, kind of go on a little bit of a rant here. Please do not be that guy or girl and drive around with your really nice off-road lights and be blinding everybody when you're driving around town, or more especially on the freeway. It is not safe. It really is not. There's it's becoming more and more of a trend, and I get it. I understand whether it's for show or for whatever reason you're doing. Um, but and I do drive with mine on, but it's only as needed if I need to see where I'm going, because the weather conditions are just absolutely horrible. And you really need to be careful, because if you're blinding other drivers with your off-road lights, you can potentially be causing accidents, and that's the last thing you want to be doing as a good, well thought out off-roader who's thinking about not only your safety but everybody else's safety. Now, with that being said, let's get into a little bit of talk about our front-facing lights. Now, there's a lot of different um, views when it comes to front-facing lights. We're going to try and cover most of them. So, lights that are behind the grill. Me personally, you will never see me do that, because as you know, I am highly a function over fashion type of person. There's no point in putting a really nice light behind your grill and then having part of that light blocked by your existing grill. The other problem with this is, you got to think this grill is here for a reason. It is to provide airflow to your radiator and to help cool off your engine. So the last thing that you want to be doing is be putting a lot of lights here and blocking that airflow that's helping keeping your engine cool. Same thing for down here on the bumper. I see that all the time. A lot of people there's openings right here that are providing airflow to your trans cooler, to your radiator, to all the components that are existing behind here, because that's the way it was designed. The last thing you want to do is put a light bar here and then block that airflow that's really critical to keeping your engine cool. So those are some things to think about. Having your lights low. There's some pros and cons to that. We're going to talk about the pros. The pro is having your lights lower does help with dusty conditions. Typically, dust comes up, it rises for a little bit. So having your light low kind of goes underneath the dust and kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage. Another option that you can do is use amber lenses. Amber lenses, I have not had personally had the ability to experiment with them, but that is something that I definitely would like to try and see if that definitely works. But supposedly that is one of the pros of having your lights low as well. Cons. Having your lights low is that you really got to be careful about if you're getting a lot of, like, if you go into trails where you're getting a lot of foresty areas that are just brushing up along the side of your vehicle, and then they start tweaking your lights and damaging your lights and stuff like that, you got to be careful with that. Or if you're going on super rocky trails and you have lights right here, you got to be careful about not hitting your lights off. So just it really depends on your personal preference and the kind of trails that you're doing as far as your lighting locations. Mounting your lights up high. This offers, again, some pros and cons. Having your lights up high gives them a lot of better projection, as we stated previously with our 45s and our backups. It allows your lights to go over and be over obstacles and everything like that. If you have like a little hill or something that's just below where this light is, this light might be blocked by it. But if you have your lights up higher, it might be able to go over the top of it. Another option is having your lights up high also gives them a little bit more of a way of being protected because they're up higher. The only way that they could be damaged is if you're going in, again, on trails where you're going to have trees and limbs and stuff like that going up and grabbing your lights. So just something to be conscious of. And then the other thing, as far as the cons go, there are a few. A lot of people supposedly when you have your lights, and I have experimented around a little bit with it, if you have your lights a little bit over your front windshield, you can sometimes get glare with dust and stuff like that. And you'll get glare not only from the dust, and then you'll get glare sometimes on your hood because your hood could be really a bright color, especially white people with white vehicles. That's apparently a common problem, as well as on your front windshield, you'll get that glare. So one way that I've been experimenting that you can mitigate that is to simply have your lights go past, have them reset past back where your windshield starts. So this is, imagine this being like an imaginary line. You don't really want your light to go past that, and that's one way that I've been able to mitigate that. Currently, I do not have any large front-facing lights, but those are hopefully coming up here in the future. A third option, and this kind of goes back to personal preference, is light bars versus individual pods for up high and for down low. Me personally, I don't believe I will be using light bars really that much anymore, simply for this. Light bars typically they have there's not a whole lot of versatility with them. They move up and they move down. That's really the only way that you can move them. With pods, you have the ability of moving them left, right, up, down, which gives you a lot more area to adjust your lights to where you need them specifically. You know, if I go on a certain trail, maybe I need a little bit more light out this way, not a problem. I just turn my light and it goes that way. Same thing as if I had lights mounted here, or any of that stuff. Now, there are some companies that are making some newer design lights, and that some of them are, well, I'll just give you kind of the ideas. So KC, they make a rack of lights that goes across that's kind of like the old school KCs where there's lights all like there's like 6 or 8 of them all the way across. I personally love those. I think they're great. There's also Bajadesigns makes their XL linkables. That's the same exact concept. I personally will take that way over choosing a light bar that just goes up and down. And here's the reason why, is with both those setups, you're giving yourself a lot more versatility. So with those lights, you can bring them and run them flat like this, where the lights are just all lined up. Or what you can also do is bend them out and do more of a curve like light bar type style, which works out really well depending on your uses. A curvature in your lights will make your lights kind of go out like a lot wider. Whereas obviously if you have it flat, it's just going to be going straight out. And then on top of that, with those particular lighting setups, you're also able to change each light individually. You can move one up, down, up a little bit, down a little bit. If you need a little bit more in the corner and then a little bit up higher, you can do that. So it gives you a lot more adjustment, a lot more versatility. So if you're thinking about doing lighting like that, I would definitely consider something along that avenue. Overland hack number 5, Bluetooth lighting. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story on why this is actually one of my overland hacks. So we were actually camping out in the middle of nowhere. We typically camp by ourselves. Usually we do. And I heard some noises outside the truck. I wasn't really sure what it was. We were sleeping at the time. So I woke up. I always keep a flashlight with me in the truck. I got my flashlight, got out of the truck, went, checked it out, and it ended up just being a deer. Now, the reason I bring that up is because what if it would have been a lot easier if I could have just turned on my lights? I have lights pretty much all the way around the truck, and I can be able to look at certain stuff and not have to even get out of the truck. I couldn't do that. I still can't do that because right now, currently, my lights are all controlled by my center console. I would have to crawl through my shell into my cab just to turn on the lights. So now they have Bluetooth controllers for off-road lights. So if next time, if that occasion does happen, all I got to do is bring up my phone, go to the app, and I could turn on my lights in an instant. And I think that is awesome because it gives you security and it gives you the ability to not have to get out of your vehicle just to go check something out. And it's becoming more and more common. Personally, I'm a big function over fashion person. I'm not going to be getting that just because it looks cool. Ooh, hey, look, I can control my lights on my phone. That's not why I build my truck. I build it specifically for function. So being able to have that as an ability is really awesome. Now, there's a couple companies that offer that. One company that I just took an interest in is Trigger Controllers. Trigger Controllers offers a Bluetooth system that you can control your lights through their app. They also offer, they have a full-on system that you can install in your vehicle, and then they also offer a Bluetooth relays. I had no idea this was even a thing, but you can literally take the relays out of your vehicle, put it in a Bluetooth relay, and you can control it from an app. That is awesome because that literally would save you so much wiring and so much time and so much money because you can literally just plug and play, and that just makes it all the world's difference. So that is something that I personally am looking into currently, and I really strongly believe that if you're out, by yourself, if you're camping by yourself, and just something that I ran into, and I think that you should consider as another way of setting up your lighting. With that being said, I hope you guys are all enjoying the videos. As stated previously earlier in the video, I'm a brand ambassador for Bajadesigns. If you guys order Bajadesigns lights, you guys can use my discount code at Clinetimephotography and just type that in, and then you guys get discounts on off-road lights. If you have questions on lights or anything like that, I get questions actually quite a bit recommending what types of lights to use for different things. Just go to my Instagram and message me on there. And usually I can kind of point you in the right direction. Everybody's vehicle is a little bit different. Everybody wants lights for certain things in their vehicle and in certain areas and stuff like that. So usually it's a little bit easier on Instagram for me to talk to people on there. That way I can kind of point you in the right direction and send you pictures and stuff like that if I need to. But with that being said, please like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys are enjoying all the videos, and I will see you guys next time on the Overland Hack Series. Later.